Hi, I'm on an ADU quest and broadcasting from my car setup because I heard that there's a tiny 108 square foot ADU, 108 and a half square feet. The half foot counts when it's that small. What does a 108 and a half square foot ADU even look like? And what did they do to get the planning commission to approve it? So naturally, I was curious. I hopped in the car, drove over to Sonoma. It's only 15-20 minute drive, and thought I'd check it out and maybe see if I could knock on the door, meet the owners, look inside. I did not meet the owners, but I did get to see the building, and I was confused. And so I looked it up a little bit more online and found the video for the Planning Commission.
As Chair Felder mentioned, this is a use permit application to allow for an exception to the minimum habitable space of 150 square feet for an accessory dwelling unit. The resulting habitable space would be 108.5 square feet. The total area of the accessory dwelling unit is 298 square feet. There are the elevations of the existing structure. They're just proposing to reconfigure the upper work space to an accessory dwelling unit.
Wendy, I'm confused. I see a kitchen, bathroom, and bedroom with dimensions there, and it looks substantially bigger than 105 square feet.
The total area of the ADU is 298 square feet, but the habitable area is just the area of the bedroom, and that's around 108 square feet. And so
the kitchen and bathroom don't count as habitable area?
No.
It's a real curveball. Diving into the detail on this 108 square foot, 108 and a half square foot ADU shows that this is a really cool example that illustrates sort of three really important lessons. And so I thought I'd just walk you through what it all means. First of all, every rule has an exception. Just because this ADU was smaller than the state requirement of 150 square feet did not mean that it couldn't be built. It just had to work through a discretionary approval process. Secondly, the interpretation of state code is wildly different from one jurisdiction to another. In this example, it is a 290 square foot ADU. The kitchen and bathroom and bedroom together are 290 square feet. That's all habitable space. But because of the way Sonoma is interpreting the code, they're saying only the bedroom is habitable in this ADU, and therefore it's only 108.5 square feet, which, as you can see from the video of the Planning Commission, everybody's like, why wouldn't the kitchen be habitable? And so that interpretation of code variance from one place to another, that's huge. That's really important. And then the third kind of really important lesson here is you get really far by working with the planning department. You know, this young couple, they submitted their permit. The planning department came back and said, well, that's only 108.5 square feet habitable, and it needs to be 150. And they did not give up, and they did not argue that, hey, the bottom floor should clearly be counted as habitable. Instead, they said, well, how can we get this permit? And the city helped them. The city did a study and show that they were following all the rules except for this one requirement. And by the letter of the law, they weren't 150 square feet the way Sonoma is interpreting habitable living space. But if they went in front of the Planning Commission, they could probably get an exemption. And so they didn't fight it. They went with the system and they got their exemption. And so it's weird. It's coded as a 108.5 square foot ADU, probably the smallest ADU in California, and they got their permit and they get to build. And then it doesn't matter whether the kitchen counts as habitable or not. That wasn't their goal. Their goal was to be able to turn this into an ADU, and they got that. So what's the story here? This is a young couple that applies for an ADU to convert an existing two-story structure into an accessory dwelling unit. And the bottom floor of that structure is like 190 square feet-ish. And it's got like the kitchen and bathroom. And the top floor is smaller. It's about 108 square feet. And it's got the bedroom. And then when when the city looks at the plans, they say, well, hold on, this is only the bedroom counts as habitable space. And that's only 108 square feet. You need 150. Now, I haven't figured out all the details here, and I'm getting in touch with the homeowners in the city to see, like, why wasn't the bottom habitable? Is it a JADU and the bathroom was a shared sanitation facility? Is it a uh, is it the situation where the ceilings are a little low in the kitchen, and so it doesn't count as habitable living space because the ceilings are too low, but it's still a usable kitchen? I'm not sure. We're gonna figure it out. But in any case, the city told them, no, you only have 108 square feet habitable, and the state code says 150, so you need a special exception. It's something very funny. It's very wordy as always. You need an action to approve categorical exemption. And then the planning commission has to approve a resolution authorizing the use permit subject to findings and conditions of approval. So yeah, that's what they needed. And they could have fought that, but don't fight City Hall. Don't fight. Instead, you go in, you explain the project, and the commission was like, that's kind of weird that we don't count the kitchen. Approved. And that's all you need to do sometimes. So great story. Glad to have found out about it. Now you know there's 108 square foot, 108 and a half square foot ADU out in Sonoma. And hopefully you now understand you should have the confidence to work with the planning department to make your project work. Figure out how they read the rules, figure out what you can do to move your project forward, and don't be afraid to have a conversation with the planning department, because sometimes that's the only way you're going to get inside their heads and figure out how to do an ADU in a way that's good for the community and for you. Okay, if you're curious about learning more about the laws, and who wouldn't be after this weird one? If you want to learn how to start an ADU, check this out.